Hello there, this is Heirs to the Kingdom channel, and in today's lesson we're finishing the first book of Samuel. Going to be doing chapters 29 through 31. If you're new to this Bible study channel, going through the King James Bible, not skipping anything as scriptures command. So if you would, like, subscribe, and share this content, and let's get started. So last part, Saul was seeking a woman that could bring up familiar spirits, because Saul wanted to speak to Samuel. Samuel had passed away. And Samuel was, his spirit showed up, was upset at what Saul was doing, dealing with somebody that could do these things, and informed him that him and his sons, would not survive. That they would lose the kingdom, and not only would he pass away or die in the next they would die at the hands of the Philistines. And the woman that was able to bring up familiar spirits finally got him to eat and get something to drink, and he was on his way. Because when he heard the news of everything, he was very distraught. But before this, he was trying to hear from the Lord, but since, the Spirit of the Lord left him, he couldn't commune with God anymore. And that's why he wanted to hear from the Lord, couldn't hear from the Lord. So instead of talking to someone who could, he went and dealt with somebody that did evil in the eyes of the Lord by, being able to do the familiar spirits thing. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started here. Chapter 29, verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Aphek, and the Israelites pitched by a fountain which is in Jezreel. Oh, I forgot the other important part from the last lesson as well, that David and his men are now with the Philistines, and he had to go against some other people that were not Israelites to, so he could stay in the land and not worry about being harmed by Saul anymore. So that's an important thing in this going into this section as well. Verse 2. And the lords of the Philistines passed on by hundreds and by thousands, but David and his men passed on in the rearward with Achish. Then said the princes of the Philistines, What do these Hebrews here? And Achish said unto the princes of the Philistines, Is not this David, the servant of Saul, the king of Israel, which hath been with me these days or these years, and I have found no fault in him since he fell unto me unto this day? And the princes of the Philistines were wroth with him, and the princes of the Philistines said unto him, Make this fellow return, that he may go again to his place which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us. For wherewith should he reconcile himself unto his master? Should it not be with the heads of these men? Is not this David, of whom they sang one to another in dances, saying, Saul slew his thousands, and David his 10,000s? Then Achish called David and said unto him, Surely as the Lord liveth, thou hast been upright, and thy going out and thy coming in with me in the host is good in my sight. For I have not found evil in thee since the day of thy coming unto me unto this day. Nevertheless the Lord's favor thee not. Wherefore now return and go in peace, and that thou displease not the lords of the Philistines. And so David, he did not want to have to go against the Israelites, but he is a soldier. His men are soldiers, and they have to give their loyalty to whom they're serving. So this is God helping him out. Says, "Nah, you're not going against your own people." God's always helping us in the background at some things we don't even know what's going on at times. But continue on here, verse 8. And David said unto Achish, But what have I done? And what hast thou found in thy servant so long as I've been with thee unto this day, that I may not go fight against the enemies of my lord the king? And Achish answered and said to David, I know that thou art good in my sight as an angel of God. Notwithstanding, the princes of the Philistines have said, he shall not go up with us into the battle. Wherefore now rise up early in the morning with thy master's servants that are come with thee, and as soon as ye are up early in the morning and have light, depart. So David and his men rose up early to depart in the morning to return unto the land of the Philistines, as the Philistines went up to Jezreel. Chapter 30. And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire. So the one benefit was that he went back, and while the armies were going one way, someone else was attacking from another. Verse 2. And had taken the women captives that were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives were taken captives, Ahinoam and the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Bezor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Bezor. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me, because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, Canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, Swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines, and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them with the twilight, even until the evening of the next day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 men, which rode upon camels and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds which they drave before those over other cattle, and said, This is David's spoil. And David came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Bezor. And they went forth to meet David and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial, of those that went with David, and said, because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart. Then said David, ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hand. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. And it was so from that day forward, that he made it a salute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent of the spoil unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. To them which were in Bethel, and to them which were in South Ramoth, and to them which were in Jatir, and to them which were in Aroer, and to them which were in Ziphmoth, and to them which were in Estemoa, and to them which were in Rechal, and to them which were in the cities of the Jerahmeelites, and to them which were in the cities of the Kenites, and to them which were in Hormah, and to them which were in Korashah, and to them which were in Athak, I think that's how you say that one, and to them which were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were wont to hunt. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons, and the Philistines slew Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchi-Shua, Saul's sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then Saul said unto his armor-bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and abuse me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Herefore Saul took a sword, and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword, and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor-bearer, and all his men, that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, that when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head, and stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about to publish it in the house of their idols, and among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh-Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and came to Jabesh and burnt them there. And they took their bones and buried them under a tree in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. And that's the end of the first book of Samuel. Pretty straightforward reading at the end of it. Samuel gave him another prophecy that God told him would happen, and it came to pass immediately. God didn't want David to be a part of that, because he would have been forced to do things he wouldn't have wanted to do. But his own land, his own king, forced him out of his own land, so he pledged allegiance with someone else. But also, there was something bad going to happen to his people, his family, his wives, and stuff like that. So it was another blessing in return that he was sent back, because then he was there to go and get his wives and other people's wives and children and everything else. Sometimes we don't understand God's way and why things happen the way they do. And that's why we just need to roll with what God's doing. It's all going to be for him, if we let him finish cooking. That's the new saying, says, let him cook. Let God cook. Let him do what he's going to do so he can get done what needs to be done. We got to quit fighting against him. That doesn't mean we give up and just lay around and do nothing, though. We still do our part as Christians by sharing the word of God, praying for those that are lost, even praying for the found, that they stay found and not become lost again. Pray for nations that don't even know about God. There's a lot of places that's never, they've heard of God before in the past, but then it was forced out, so now they don't know of anything. Some places are not even being educated on their own history of their own country, and China's one of those. That country needs a lot of prayer. And not praying for them that they become a better nation and a stronger nation, is that we get in there with Christianity. We start sharing. There are Christians in China, and they have to hide to read the Word of God. They have to hide their Bibles. They have to hide their, a lot of people in America have no clue how blessed we are that we have freedom of religion for now. And it seems like we're, encouraging America to go back to being what it used to be, because other people are waking up to the insanity of the corrupt politicians, I'm going to say, because they're on both sides, really. But, we don't want to lose our rights in our country. We are the last beacon to the rest of the world of Christianity. Most other nations pretty much have outlawed Christianity of some sense, some sort. And I think it's going to be funny when they come down to the Roman Catholic Church and with the Pope and all the other stuff, because they literally have their own army. The Pope has they have their own police force, their own army, this, that, and the other, for this type of stuff. And it's like the way they're doing stuff in Europe means soon they'll be coming to there. But we've even heard that the Catholics in the Roman Catholic system is starting to change a little bit to not angry the people around them. So it kind of shows you their loyalty, that are they truly for God, or are they just in it for the position and the money, the power? Some people, that's what they're addicted to more than anything, and they want that power. They want that prestigeness, but they're not really serving the Lord because they're wishy-washy. And we got to pray for these type of people. It's God's on the move. We know that for a fact. God's on the move here in America, big time. It's spreading through the colleges like wildfire. And so we do have a chance. But we just have to let God cook. Let him make his stew, that we all may be able to dip our bread in one day and eat with the Lord. Always pray. And never forget to give God all the praise, glory, and worship, and thanks in everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. But I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. So, of course, next lesson, we'll be starting the second book of Samuel. Because this is where David takes the throne. Because with Saul gone, he's the only living son. All the sons are dead except the son-in-law, David. David's the son-in-law. So he's the next heir to the kingdom in the eyes of the people, but also he was anointed by Saul to be the next king anyways, and Saul already knew this, and most of the people did too. But yeah, so we'll be starting the next book, 2 Samuel. So I'm going to end this lesson here. Until next time, God bless, good day, and goodbye.